Hello, good evening. Welcome to this Retina UK information webinar. My name's Denise Rawdon and I'm Head of Information Support at Retina UK. Did you know that this week is Loneliness Awareness Week? It seems like there's an awareness week or an awareness day for so many things these days. But the impacts of loneliness certainly shouldn't be underestimated or ignored. Connecting with others is a vital part of our well-being. And as the weather's turning warmer, I wrote this yesterday and it's freezing out there. What was I thinking? But on the whole, June is supposed to get a little bit warmer. So now should be a good time to consider how comfortable and confident we are in getting out and about and connecting with others. Now, I'm joined this evening by some fabulous guests, and I'd like to thank them for giving up their time. And we're going to chat about the challenges faced by our community when it comes to getting out and about and engaging in activities such as, things like just shopping or getting out and meeting friends, or something a little bit more boisterous or adventurous. So we've got Simon Labbett, Angie Baum, and Richard Zimler with us tonight. Simon, would you like to introduce yourself first of all?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Simon Labbett, and I'm a vision rehabilitation specialist for a council in the north of England.
Thanks, Simon. Angie, would you like to say a few words?
I'm Angie Baum. I'm a development team intern for Retina UK, and I've been working for them for now 6 months on a 9-month contract, and I've got RP.
And last but not least, Richard.
Hello everyone, I'm Richard. I have a rare genetic syndrome called Bardet-Biedl syndrome, and I help co-facilitate the Talking Travel group with my fiancée Rachel Foley, and I also help out with the peer support groups that Retina UK do as well.
That's brilliant, thank you. So as we go through tonight, if anybody's got any questions for us here, please do type them into the Q&A box in Zoom at any time during the webinar. We've got our lovely colleague Lauren that's hovering in the background, and she's watching out for any questions that you may raise, and she'll ask them on your behalf at the end, if that's okay. The webinar is being recorded for anybody who couldn't make it today but was interested in the information we're sharing. So it will be put later on this week on our website and YouTube channel. Okay. So RNIB carried out a study last year that revealed the stark gaps between positive impacts certain key activities had on blind and partially sighted people's quality of life, and also on their perceived ability to actually carry out those activities. And it really identified several areas of need, particularly in the aspects of travel, home life and social life. The home life, the travel and social life are the two things that are so interconnected. And what it showed was that blind and partially sighted people are less likely to have experienced very high life satisfaction, a sense of a worthwhile life and happiness. And people with sight loss were also more likely to experience high anxiety. Now, we know that from our own insight survey that we did both in 2019 and 2022. Lots of people, there was actually 93% of those who responded, which was just under 1,000 people, it wasn't an insignificant number, told us that they'd experienced loss of confidence, anxiety, and isolation and stress directly due to their sight loss. RNIB also found that travel was an area of major need. So less than 1/3 of people living with sight loss felt that they could participate in travel-related activities, such as exploring different parts of the country, getting out and about, or making spontaneous travel plans. Now, we know how difficult that can be. It also found that people reported that looking after their home in the way that they wanted to had a huge positive impact on quality of life, but less than 1/4 of them felt able to do standard things like going shopping confidently and keeping their independence. And only half of those that they spoke to felt that they got satisfaction from interests and hobbies. Less than half of the people were felt able to go out and meet new people, stay in touch and socialize, or enjoy big social events. or try new hobbies and activities. It's really difficult reading that when you know we're talking to people on our helpline all the time. And these are some of the things that people are telling us, that actually they're feeling quite, even if they've got wonderful supportive families around them, that feeling of isolation, of loneliness can still be there. And that's due to the fact that different types of connections are needed for all of us. We're social creatures, really. There's not very many. Some of us say, no, we like our own company, and we do. But as human beings, we do need to socialize as well. So it's a really important thing to be able to get out and about, keep some of that independence, and carry on. Simon, those statistics are really stark reading. So how do those findings reflect what you see and hear out in the community?
I think that perfectly sums it up. I mean, a lot of the social interactions we have in life are chance encounters. When you walk down the street, you bump into a neighbour, or the casual conversation in the shop. And if you're not getting out, you're not making those casual conversations. And so straight away, your world is starting to shrink. And once it starts to shrink a little bit, it can be inevitable. It doesn't have to be, but it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we often talk about our Discover Wellbeing service, and we focus on the 5 pillars of well-being when we talk about that. It helps us, well-being really helps us to look after, to be aware of and look after our own mental health. It helps us to reduce stress and anxiety. And one of those pillars is connecting with people. And it just shows how important it is. One of the other pillars is about movement. And we talked about this in our webinar last month, if any of you caught a hold of that. And that was very much about the benefits of not only, it was about exercising at home, but it was about getting out in the fresh air, you know, and like I say, particularly at this time of year, it's good for the soul. Richard, you mentioned that you facilitate our Talking Travel online group. What are the main questions or concerns that you get from people in the group?
Well, so far from having the group, we've talked about being able to travel and about on like local transport, like buses, trains, taxis, going further afield on holidays, or like going on aeroplanes, and how can be assisted at airports, and also then just generally getting out and about, like questions about different canes that are available for people to use, and just general getting out and about to be able to, like you said, go out to exercise or go out to meet up with friends and family.
Brilliant. So lots of really practical hints and tips in there then.
Yes. So we talked about the different canes, like symbol cane, tap cane, and then the other canes with the rollables. And then we also talked about different apps that can help people, like the passenger assistance app for if you want to use trains, and basically just making people aware there is a help out there to help them be able to get out and be able to not feel so social isolated.
Yeah, brilliant. That sounds like it's definitely something worth joining for anybody who wants a little bit more information, and everybody's in the same boat, which is really nice, isn't it?
Yes, and it's nice because any group with RAT UK, whether it's the Talking Travel or any of the peer support groups or anything, it's all a safe space, so people can say what they want to say, and they're their hints and tips to other people, or just ask questions, and they know that they're in a confidential space, so it'll only get spoken within the group, and then only be revisited if they come back to the group that they've been on.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Richard. Simon, what do you think are the main barriers that people tell you they experience in terms of getting out and about? And what can we do about them, really?
Some of them are very obvious ones, like the sheer unpredictability of public transport and the changes in the built environment. And there's no denying that. I think that's I put it in a way like a psychological level. There's a natural anxiety about facing unpredictable situations. And it is about recognizing that when you go outdoors, there's a certain loss of control about that, and it's how you think that through. When you're in the home, you can create your own world, and you're the king of it or the queen of it. When you're outside, it's the other factors that can be unpredictable. So I think it's around planning what those might be. We can talk later on about some of these solutions, but it's thinking through some of the anxieties. Are they general anxieties which are hard to pin down, or are there specific things that are, might be a problem, in which case if they're specific, or you can make them specific and you can say them out loud. I'm worried about, will I see the right bus? I'm worried about tripping over that particular curb. Once you start articulating it, you can start looking at solutions. It sounds a bit psychobabble, but I think that's the way it is. When it's very general, I don't like the idea of going outside. It's much harder for anyone, especially the person who's thinking it, to work around it. So I think that's an important thing to recognize that's, and I think some people quite naturally are concerned about standing out, whether that's through using a cane or being observed tripping up over something, and that's being vulnerable. And why wouldn't you feel anxious about that? But again, there are potential solutions to that. I don't know if that rings true for the people on this call.
Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, your story?
Well, I'm diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. I've been diagnosed approximately 25 years now, just after having the birth of my beautiful daughter. Started with night blindness, struggling in the dark, falling down steps, going out to restaurants, that kind of thing, knocking glasses off the table and being quite clumsy, really, with a lot of things, even just falling over chairs. And if there was a patterned carpet I found, I couldn't identify a table on a patterned carpet. It was really bizarre. But yeah, it was just after I'd had my daughter, and it's been a difficult journey. But along the way, I dealt with it in the best way I could. And along the way, I had a really nasty accident, which caused me to lose my confidence in going out and whatnot. I was actually in the house. I found myself isolating myself really badly. And if my husband was coming home from work, I'd make sure that he could pop to the shop for me, that kind of thing. And and my daughter, if she was passing the shop or the supermarket, could you possibly get me something like this? And I was slowly just isolating myself away because of this accident that I'd had. And it caused a family intervention. And we all got together and they said, oh, Mum, there's a bit of an issue here. You're not going out. You haven't been out for months. Have you ever thought of an aid? Have you ever thought of perhaps a long cane or a guide dog or anything like that? No, I don't need a guide dog and I don't need a cane, I can see. So what's the problem? My peripheral vision is going. So it's almost like a tunnel vision. And my central vision is quite good in the one eye. But on occasions I can't see the difference with gutters and steps, that kind of thing. So that's where the accident was caused. Well, anyway, after a big family discussion, I signed up to get cane training, and I also registered with guide dogs. And in the beginning, it was really bizarre. It was such a strange thing because it was something that I'd actually kept to myself about my eyesight. I'd never told anybody, only close friends and family. Anybody else around me, it was just, I didn't feel the need to discuss it because nobody could see the problem. So why should I tell everybody? And so when the gentleman came to train me for the cane, I felt it was awful. It was a real discomfort because they're like, oh my God, I've got to go outside now and show everybody that I've got to use a cane. But I did it, and I thought this is going to be my new life now, and I've got to grab it by both horns, and I've just got to do it. And I did, and I went out on the streets, and I did my cane training, and I used the cane for got to be about 3 months, that was my independence. I kept myself in for months prior. So the cane was my independence and getting out there and doing normal day things. And it was me. It was just fantastic. It was, you know, I breathed a sigh of relief as soon as I'd gone out there with a cane, to be fair with you. And then 3 months later, I have to say I was extremely, extremely lucky. I was gifted my beautiful guide dog, Norma. And she is absolutely amazing. Honestly, she's just fantastic. As much as I love the cane, I loved my Norma more. So she was, and I loved it because it actually drew people towards me as well, which I'm a very much a people person. And we just go everywhere together. So yeah, it's been a fantastic, that's the positives of it all, is actually accepting and using the aids that was given to me.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Simon, we hear so many times from people who they're really reluctant to start cane training, and it is a massive psychological thing, isn't it? To get past the idea that other people are good. It's that vulnerability, as you said, you know, that other people are actually going to see this vulnerability, that there's no way that they would know anything about your
I think
Angie's
somebody, it's like coming out. It's a very public statement, and you know, when you go for a guide dog, and you've been very lucky, Angie, you start off by being taught the cane anyway, and so it's like saying to the world, well, here we are. And some people find that easier than others, but I'm delighted, Angie, that you found that as a way of engaging with people again. And I've heard other people say that things like their posture changes. For some people, the tension in their body eases a bit, because once you use the cane properly, you can feel your muscles relaxing. It's not everything's anticipating smacking into something. You walk taller. And one of the myths is that it makes you more vulnerable because people can see that you have a sight problem. But you could equally argue, and I definitely argue, that actually you can walk faster and with more confidence in a way that you wouldn't have done without that. You would be sort of maybe hesitating along the street and trying to work out where the curb edge was. So, you know, there are definite pluses. It's just crossing that threshold. Can I say something else about cane training, Denise?
Yeah, because
cane training is a shorthand way of describing it, but actually we would call it orientation and mobility training, and it's so much more than using a cane. And if you do use a cane, it might be that you just whip it out for certain occasions when you're waiting. You know, if you know there's some steps coming, or there's a particularly hazardous bit, or where it gets very low light, goes to a dark tunnel or something. But you don't have to use it all the time if you don't really want to. And training is also about using your residual vision, because once you can use a cane, you can look around more. Angie, you've described that bit of vision you've got in one eye, and being able to use that and so we would teach people how to scan the horizon to look for things. And that's so much easier when you're not fixated in looking at the ground. So it liberates your other senses in a way. And so we also teach orientation skills, how you feel more secure, how you start noticing certain bits of your environment. We teach you how to recognize certain bits that can't be mistaken for other bits. So you can start anchoring yourself in your road, in your street, and then beyond your street, further and further outwards from your safest space. So it's a bit more than cane training, but that's often where it's focused.
Yeah, absolutely right. And this is why we need you here, Simon. and it's absolutely true. And I think that's really encouraging for people to hear the way you've put it there, because I think that it can take away some of that fear. You know, the idea that no, you don't have to use it all the time. It's not all or nothing, is it?
It's definitely not.
It's very much you're tailoring it to the needs of that individual, and they have control.
My longest term client just described our sessions as let's go for walking practice. That's how he framed it.
I love that. I love that.
I like that.
That's brilliant. Richard, your experience is a little bit different because your sight deteriorated at an early age. So were you at school? I think you said when you started using a cane to support you.
So I with the syndrome I got, the Bardet-Biedl syndrome, my sight went over a period of time. So I was lucky. I got to first use a cane when I was in year 6 of primary school, but it was a tap cane rather than a cane with a rollable, just to get me used to the feel of a cane, and it was more just to help me because from being born to the age of 20, I had good central vision, but really bad peripheral vision, and I was night blind from the age of 9. So having that just helped me to get confident with using a cane. And then as I went through high school, I went from a tap cane to using a long cane with the small mushroom roller tip. And then I went away to college and still used the mushroom tip on the long cane. But then now that I lost my sight just after I turned 20, and I tend to use the jumbo rollerball because for me, because I'm completely blind, I use my cane all the time, and I just felt that I had more durability with the jumbo roller than the mushroom tip roller because I'm using it all the time. And so yeah, I do think having a cane from year 6 of primary school, it definitely gave me the confidence to be able to transition from the different canes, from a cane that was just tapping from side to side to then going to a cane with a rollerball. It helped the transition smoothly. And like Simon said, I did I do have a symbol cane, but I use that more when I'm being guided by someone, so they can understand why I'm being guided as well. So it just serves as a symbol so people know why someone slightly guiding me.
That makes a lot of sense. And again, it sort of it follows through that tailored approach, doesn't it, Simon? That journey that Richard has been on with the different canes and what he's found most useful when, because it's all adapting to what his needs are.
Yes, and one would hope that the professional you come across is not prescriptive. We're taught certain things that certain people need to use, but the reality is someone comes to you with an issue or what they want to achieve, and you need to make sure that it's done in the way that's right for them, provided it's safe. That's the bottom line. You don't want to leave someone in an unsafe situation, so provided it's safe. So Richard described using a roller tip, and if that's what he wants to use, that's his thing. I might, with a new client, say, well, try this, compare them. But in the end, it's your choice,
Yeah, what somebody's feeling most comfortable with. At the end of the day, it's all about enabling and empowerment, isn't it, for the individual, whatever's going to help them to stay independent and be able to get out and about.
Yeah, if I say you've got a fantastic, if I say you've got a fantastic cane technique, what's the point of that if you can't get to the shop? So you tell me you want to get to the shop, and you get to the shop, job done, as long as it's safe.
Absolutely, keeping people safe and empowerment, definitely. So Angie, I just wanted to move on to sort of talking about your situation, because you've got a family at home, you're a busy mum. You chose to change things around in your life, sort of quite drastically, really. Why? Can you tell us why you chose to apply for the internship with Retina UK? What was it?
Right. My employment journey, from ticking that little box on an application to say that I got a disability, my employment journey just literally stopped. From 2015, I just couldn't get any work whatsoever, not even an interview. And I never had issues before, always got to interview stage. And it went on and it went on. And then Norma came, which made it increasingly more difficult because I had no choice but to tick that box. So in 2022, during lockdown, I decided to set up my own business. It was only a little pressing business. It was just something just to help with the finances, because everybody's finances went sky high. And I continued with that for a couple of years, really successful, surprisingly, very, very successful. Who knew? And then I happened to see, because what I didn't say was I'm with Retina UK on my internship, but I'm also, it's part Retina UK and part Thomas Pocklington Trust. And I saw Josh on this morning, the programme this morning, and he said those wonderful words, we help people get into work, people with visual impairment into work. Oh my God, I've never moved so quick in all my life. I was just like on the phone. I was just, oh my God, where do I go? What do I do? And I was given a list of companies, Retina UK included, and to apply for. I sent off all my CVs, all my covering letters, everything went off. And actually, I think Retina UK was the first one I sent off to. And obviously, I had a connection because I got RP. And it would that. You was my favourite, to be fair, out of all of them.
Pay you later.
And yes, you came back straight away. I think within a couple of weeks, I was asked for an interview, and I was then within a couple of months. I started within in the January of this year, and it's just been an amazing experience. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me.
But why was it that you felt the need? You've had a successful business. It was going really well for you.
Yeah.
What was it that made you feel you needed that change?
My business wasn't my passion. It was just a temporary thing. So I just wanted to get back into employment, back into the workplace. I wanted to work with a team. I'm very, very team orientated, and I love good teamwork. I love the social aspect. I love the, just talking to people during the day, because you do get isolated. Because I work for myself, there was just me. So there's just me against my customers, if you like, and that was as much as I saw, and I was isolating myself, I suppose, in another way. But the internship with Retina UK has completely opened my eyes, completely. And it's pre Retina UK, I just didn't look for peer groups, didn't know they existed, didn't know that there was talk support, didn't know anything about that. So I was in my own little world for 25 years, dealing with it on my own. And then all of a sudden I hit Retina UK and they talk about it. That was fantastic for me. Oh my God, why they're talking about it? They're talking about my condition. They're talking about people's lived experience. This is amazing. It's fantastic. I can actually talk about my condition. And it was just a wonderful feeling. I felt at home, if that's
good.
The way. I felt really at home.
Were there any barriers that you had to overcome, Angie, to actually take part in the internship?
Yeah, one of the stipulations that was on the job description for Retina UK was you need to come and travel to Milton Keynes every month. And I thought, oh my God, Milton Keynes, that's a long way. It's one of the things I've never actually done. And it was one of the things I knew I had to do. So yes, I pushed myself. I was so nervous. I can't tell you how nervous I was. But me and Norma got in the taxi to go to the train station, got on the train with assistance. For those of you that don't know, you do get assistance at the train station. They will put you on the train, and there'll be assistance waiting for you at the other end. So there'll be always somebody there to help you. So don't ever think that you're on your own. And I did it a couple of times, and I stayed overnight as well on my own. That was a big thing. And also I ate on my own. That was huge as well. So it was a really good experience. And now I don't even think about it because I'm doing it all the time. I don't even think about it. It's just been a really good experience for me, and I'm so glad I've done it. I've got so much out of it just by doing that. So yeah, it's been brilliant.
We've definitely seen your confidence grow hugely, I have to say,
good.
since you've been with us, which is brilliant to see. It's really great.
Oh,
But in terms of Richard, your experience is quite different, and you travel a lot. Whenever I phone you, you're always off somewhere different. You're always just about to jump on a train to go some part of the country or another. How important is getting out and about, and the connections that enables you to make? How important is that to you?
Well, it's very important. I think being able to get out and about and be able to go and visit my friends or go to different peer groups or just generally being able to get and about. I definitely saw that with lockdown. I was because I was in the vulnerable category. I had to shield 3 separate times living in Wales, and it really showed how much I missed being able to go out about and just travel on trains and like Angie said, the assistance is really good. The only difference for me is where I live, I'm an unmanned station, so I have help from my mum who helps me to get to the station, and then the assistance is done by the guard on the train because all the stations after England, where I live in Wales, are all unmanned. Right. So, but going to other stations in England, I've gone as far as Scotland and down as far as South Wales, and the assistance is always there to help you off the train. And then if you go to get to a taxi, they'll help you to a taxi to go on to where you're going. And I've even been abroad as well. I've been as far as Australia. Went to Italy last year, both with my partner, and same going to the airport, having help to check your bags in, go through security, make sure you get through all that, and then they help you to the assistance point, and then someone will come and get you and help you onto the plane, and then you have help on the plane from the cabin crew, and then if you're just going from one destination to another, like we did going to Italy last year, at the other end, you'll have assistance to help you get through security at the end, or like when we went to Australia, we had to change in Dubai, so we had help to get off the plane in Dubai and connect to the plane in Dubai to go on to Australia. So I've had some really, 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 really positive and good experiences traveling trains, planes, going in taxis. I do use buses, but more when I'm in England because the times seem to match up better for bus times from where going on buses in England rather than where I live here in Wales. They're a bit more spread out. But the only thing is sometimes with buses, not where I live here in Wales, but in other parts of Wales, England, and they do have on buses the ability to turn on a where it'll tell you the stops you're going to. But if that's turned off on the bus, you just have to ask the bus driver if the bus has got it, and if it does, then the bus driver will turn it on whilst on it. And I think they just turn it off when there's no one that needs it, so it doesn't go on all the time. But I've had some really good experiences.
Brilliant. I think we've had a question about travelling abroad, so we'll definitely come back to that because we like to know a little bit more about that. Simon, you spoke before about, we can talk about we've talked about some of the barriers and the issues, but what are some of the solutions that we can consider?
Yeah. I suppose it depends where you are in your confidence levels, but in the end, it's about planning. So yes, we started off by saying about the loss of spontaneity, and there's no denying that, but spontaneity can come to some extent once you've really worked through something. So I think it's about planning. That's the first thing. What is it? Where do you want to get to? So supposing it's, you've got to make a bus journey into town, you may not be starting with the bus journey. You may be starting with how you get to the bus stop or just getting outside the door and walking down the road. So you're setting your goals bit by bit. What are the things that, and having said be positive, it is important to think about what might go wrong. So what if you do miss the bus stop? So what plans have you got? Can you use a phone confidently? that's a real reassurance having a phone there. It might be that you are with someone who's a good friend and you go out together and you sort of talk through that route together, walking side by side. It might be that you get on a bus with a friend and another friend will be at the other end. So if you miss your bus stop, your friend knows you're on the bus and they might flag the bus down. It's putting safety things in place that reduce the problems. And maybe once you've got the bus journey done, you can start remembering bits of the route, knowing where it turns. But you might do the bus journey with someone and they might wean themselves. They might sit in a different part of the bus. This is what we do as trainers. We go on the bus with someone, we sit next to them, then we might sit at a different part of the bus and see if their confidence level is good enough to know when they need to get off without prompting. And then we don't go on the bus journey, we meet someone at the far end. But within reason, if you've got the confidence and the support around you, you can replicate that with a trusted friend, who's not going to let you down. So there are all sorts of things you can put in place once you know what it is you want to do and you think it's realistic. But I think being able to use a phone, not just to make calls if you need to, but also there are apps on the phone which, like a sat nav, will tell you where you are if you're not too sure. So again, it's getting confident using those kind of apps, and again, that's where professionals can help you explore those. So little things like that make a bigger picture.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And I think the likes of the apps that you can get on your phone. We talk about our talking travel. We also have a talking tech group as well. We like to talk in Retina UK, Simon. Yes. I know that the teams and Richard's involved in that as well. It's great, sort of some of the things now that you can get, the technology that actually helps us get out and about. And I was really impressed. I'm not very techie, so I can't remember the name of it, but there was one navigation app I seen, I was watching being demonstrated, that actually told you what sort of landmarks you were going past. It was actually, you could have one earpiece just in, just so you could listen to that as well as listening to traffic and things around you, and it was telling you what you were actually going past, when there was a park on your right hand side, for example. And I think that really helps to orientate yourself and ground yourself when you're out and about in the area.
I think it's we talk about having a mental map. So for someone who's moved into an area and they're new, and you only go down one side of the road, if you can't see what's on the other side, you may never know there's a certain shop there, or there's another road which leads off in a totally different direction. And so unless you explore that methodically, that's where an app can really tell you what's going on all around you. And you feel a much greater sense of being in your location, of belonging to that location.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Thank you. I am conscious of time, and I know that with a webinar we do have limited time because it does automatically stop. So Lauren, can you tell us, I think we've got one or two questions that have come in. Can you let us know what those questions are?
Yes, so one of the first questions asks how somebody can connect with the Talking Travel group.
Oh, that's over to you, Richard.
So the Talking Travel group, it runs bi-monthly, so every other month, and basically it'll be on Retina UK's website, and you'll be able to go on there, and when you go on there, you can register to the Talking Travel group, and it'll just ask for name and email address, and then also you can say if you want to register to Retina UK itself, so then you can get future correspondence from Retina UK for any other groups as well, like Denise said, the Talking Tech group, or maybe a peer support group in your local area as well. So it goes on the Retina UK website, and then you can access it from there to register it from there.
That's great. We don't actually have a date coming up on the website at the moment. I think we had one. Was there a Talking Travel very recently?
Yeah, it was in April. I think. No, yeah, it was April
More
1.
recent
And then,
than that, wasn't it?
what was it, May, I think?
I think it was May. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're not due to have one this month. So it's not on our website at the moment. But if you are signed up to receive our newsletters, our e-news, then we do try and put the dates on there that are coming up for any event, for any of our local groups as well. But do keep an eye on the website. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss it, if you drop me an email to services@retinauk.org.uk, we'll make sure that we get you on the list so you hear about it. Lauren, was there another question?
Yes. So Hina talks about considering traveling abroad solo. She says she's recently started using her white cane, having had training 20 years ago. What are your top tips for staying safe abroad?
I'm going to go to Simon first and then open it up, because I know, Richard, you mentioned you've done quite a bit of travelling abroad. Simon, is there anything that you would like to mention there?
I'm just trying to think, because, well, street layouts are very different in a lot of different countries, and the way tactile paving is arranged is very different. It's quite a challenge. I think all you can do, well, I'll go to Richard, but you need to plan in advance and find out how people with disabilities are treated and whether there's any support schemes. I'd definitely be checking on assisted travel at airports and trains as an equivalent.
Absolutely. But I'm not sure, Angie, whether you've got anything that you want to mention. Have you had any holidays abroad that you want to mention about?
I've never really been on my own. I've always had support, so there's always been somebody there with me. Yeah, it's difficult because when you're with somebody, you tend to depend on them a fair bit. But when you're on your own, it's a little bit difficult. I'm sorry, I haven't got anything that can help in that respect.
Don't worry, I just didn't want to, if you did have anything to add, I didn't want to leave you out, because I know that, Richard, you do have plenty to mention on this subject, because I know, although you've travelled with your partner, Rachel, Rachel has a visual impairment as well, doesn't she? So do you want to share your top tips and what you've experienced? You mentioned about the assisted travel. What about when you're actually abroad? How have you managed that?
Well, I've been very lucky when I've been abroad. So in the past, I've gone either with family, or when I went to Australia, it was just getting to Australia because I went to visit my family that live in Australia. But I can definitely say there are other travel companies out there for people who are blind, visually impaired and disabled. But myself and my partner, we did a holiday with Sable Holidays last June, and from the moment we went to the starting airport in Manchester, we had assistance to go through the check-in and then helped onto the plane. And then when we got to the other side in Italy, helped off the plane. And then with Sable, they have, if you go on either a tailored holiday or a group holiday, they have chaperones that help you from the moment you land in the country you're going to the time you go home. So there's always someone to help. And for me, as going on a holiday with family or going to Australia to visit family to doing a holiday where it was just me and my partner Rachel, having the chaperone was brilliant, because they were able to help you to go on excursions, help you to get to where you're going for meals in the evening, and they could either stay with you or they would go away and you could have your food on your own and they come back for you. So for me, as someone who's completely blind, having that help, but also you could arrange, if you wanted just like a relaxing day by the pool, they would just come in the evening to help us go out for evening food. So that was definitely a really good experience, and I felt completely at ease and relaxed and comfortable being on a holiday that was done by a company that was specialised for people blind, visually impaired. And with that, any country you go to, they have the chaperone is train in sighted guiding, and they also speak the native language where you go as well.
That's handy. That can come in really useful, because I have to say my Italian's not very good. That's brilliant. And like you said, there are a number of organisations, aren't there? You've been with Seeable, but there are a couple of different organisations out there. I think Travelise, and there may be one or two others as well, that it's worth doing a little bit of research. Does that help at all, Hina? I hope. I think we have another question, Lauren.
Yes, we do. So another question is, and I imagine we'll be going back to Richard with this one, what apps are available to assist with independent travel?
I use, for going on the trains, I use an app called Passenger Assistance. And with that, you can plan your entire assistance wherever you're going in the UK. And it gives you different options. So if you just need sighted guides, you can have that. Or if you need a buggy, if you need that, or if you got, you can click if you've got a guide dog, if you're in a wheelchair, and it'll ask you if you're taking luggage or not, and that all goes in the app, and it goes to whichever train station you're going to. I do have a few apps I use for getting out and about. I use Google Maps works really well with the voice over screen reader on the phone. And I also, when I'm on the train, I use an app called Lazarillo, which I've used in the past, and that tells you what you're going past, and it tells you like if there's just everything where you are, and it also tells you what train station you're going through as well. And yeah, those are a few apps I use. I don't know, have you got any suggestions, Simon, as well, or not?
Well, I was going to say, because Lazarillo is a specialist one for visually impaired people, I would recommend that. Some people like Soundscape, which does similar things. It's a visual impairment act, but like you said, Google Maps. Some people use the Moving app for knowing when trains and buses are due and for planning routes. So Move It. And where I work, they use the First Bus app, so which is very specific to that particular area. But I'm sure that's appropriate across the country in other First Bus places.
That's brilliant. Hopefully that gives some good tips. If it's okay with you guys, I wasn't quick enough to jot those all down. If you could just send me an email with those few that you've mentioned on, it'd be great for us to be able, when we send out the recording to people, to just be able to put those tips on there, just so they've got, and I'll find the links to them, just so so people can find it very easily if that's something that they're interested in downloading.
And those ones we mentioned are, I think, all free. Lazarillo, and I think Soundscape's free. Yeah.
Yes, they are. They are all free. Yes, the ones that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And do they work with both iPhones and Androids as well? Is there a difference?
Richard, the Soundscape was only Apple, but it's now proliferated. There are 2 or 3 versions of Soundscape. Are they also on Android now or not?
I'm not sure, but I'd imagine so, because the other Microsoft app is on Android. So if that is, I'd imagine. But it would tell you if anyone's got Android, if they just search for Soundscape in the Google Play Store, then it'll if it's there, it'll bring, yeah.
Brilliant. That's lovely. Thank you very much. I think that was the questions that we had. Feel free, if anybody has any others, to just jot them in there before we finish. It's about 10 to just at the moment. Is anybody, can we just sort of go back through the team and just see if you've got any last thoughts, anything else that you would like to share? Simon, I think you've got some things.
Yeah, and I think it's about how you go about asking for help. Your starting point is, if you, after orientation and mobility training through your local council, it's well worth being very clear what you want, because the person you talk to may have no idea what you're asking about, because they won't necessarily know they have a sensory team or equivalent in your local council. So if you are interested in what we've been saying and you want some training, say that that's what you want, but also give a reason, because put a bit bluntly, people may think, oh, that's a nice thing to do. That's a desire, not a need. So I think it pays to frame your request as a need, and particularly if you need it for work, to keep a job, or if there are risks if you don't have the training, that you've already had some falls, or you're scared about being injured, or if you look after someone and you need to get out and about to get medication, whatever the reason is, give that reason, and that way it'll be taken much more seriously. And you may need to explain to the person you're talking to what it is, and the fact that it's delivered by a vision rehabilitation trainer. So go armed and be persistent.
That is a brilliant top tip. Thank you so much. We do hear from people that sort of say, oh, I don't think that's available to me. There's nobody available to do the training. There's a massive wait list, that type of thing. So, you know, and of course, it's all dependent on the area that you live in, because every team, I guess, in every council works slightly differently and will have different wait lists, for example. Yes. So that is a top tip. Thank you. Can I just ask you, based on a query we had actually on the helpline, if there is a long wait list, or there's an area that are struggling, they don't have a rehabilitation officer or team at the moment, are there places that you can go to get private training that are good?
Yes.
A good service that you'd recommend?
Yes, I mean, you're paying, as you said, you're paying for it when it's a statutory right to have it at no cost. On RWPN's website, there's a list of freelance trainers. I mean, many of those will have particular localities they work with, and so that may still be an issue. But you could get in touch with us at RWPN and we'll see what we can find as well. Or you have to reframe your request if you feel it's urgent, and go back to the council and say why it's urgent and why you need to be prioritised. That comes at someone else's expense, unfortunately. But if you genuinely feel it is, then you need to put that case.
Absolutely. No, that's really useful. Thank you so much, Simon. Angie and Richard, is there anything that you would like to say, a last few words to anyone?
I'll mention, I spoke to a volunteer today, and going back to travelling, she mentioned to me, and it's a good tip actually, it really is, because I would never have thought of it. She went into the airport, she went through the part where they go through the scanners, all that. Well, before she went through that, she put her cane into the, you have your bucket, whatever it is, and they put that through the scanner. But because they didn't see her do that, they thought she was sighted. So they were giving her, they were shouting her, you must come over here. She couldn't see. She was just stood there. You must come over here. Why aren't you coming over? It really embarrassing her and making her feel uncomfortable. So the next time she went to the airport, she actually didn't put a cane in the tray. She held it, and she held it in, and she went to the scanner with it, and they could see that she was visually impaired. So what they did then was take the cane from her, put it through the scanner, and then made her walk through as well. So it's a tip. Never let go of your cane. Always hold it so people can see that you are visually impaired and that you do need help with an airport. So I thought that was a really good tip.
That is a really good tip. That's brilliant. Thanks, Angie. And Richard, any final word of wisdom?
Yeah, just to say that being able to talk to other people who are in the same boat as you, who may be blind like myself or visually impaired or any sight condition, being able to get tips off each other really helps. And also just to make people aware for when they are in about, if they're using pedestrian crossings, that if they are using ones that make a sound when you cross, but if not, they have like a little cone underneath that spins. They're not for somebody who's like me, completely blind, or who may have enough sight to get out of the bag but can't maybe not see when it goes from the red man to the green man on the crossings, that it spins underneath to let you know when it's safe to cross. So yeah, and I think it's been really good tonight to help people, to give them confidence, to be able to know that there are ways and means of being able to get out and about and not be isolated.
It's brilliant. Thanks, Richard. Thank you so much to Simon, Angie and Richard for joining us this evening. There's been some really valuable insights, and we really hope that you're feeling inspired to take positive steps to get out and about and connect with other people in a way that makes you happy. Now, Retina UK holds a webinar most months, so do make sure that you're signed up to our newsletters so you don't miss them, or look at the events section on our website for more information. Remember that you can stay connected with us via our peer support groups. Again, they're all showing on the website or on our newsletters if you signed up to those. And don't forget, of course, we've got our annual conference, which is taking place in Manchester this year at the end of September. Registration is open and it's on the website. You can book your place now. It's always a really great event and we love to see people there. So if you're looking for an excuse to get out and about and come and visit us in Manchester, then please do make that the day. It's really good, and you get to actually meet some of the team face to face. I think Richard and your then wife will be there with us, won't you? As hopefully will Angie and myself.
Yeah. Yes.
Retina UK is a registered charity and we receive no government funding, so we do rely on our wonderful supporters to raise funds to provide the vital services and groundbreaking medical research that we support. If you want to make a donation via our website or by calling the office, and I don't know whether you know about it, but we're currently actually started our own lottery, the Retina UK lottery, so you might even get lucky and win some money. But whatever way you stay in touch with us, please do stay in touch. We really thank you for joining us and giving up an hour of your time this evening to come and join us. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Good night.